When I first heard that a new Dragon Ball free-to-play MOBA was being published by Bandai Namco, I thought to myself, what could possibly go wrong? And the answer is literally everything. Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra is a mess of a game. The gameplay is poorly optimized with clunky controls, there are multiple unlockable mechanics that make balancing abhorrent, unlocking characters is annoying unless you fork over cold hard cash, the online runs poorly and is easily exploitable, and the game looks like straight up ass. And what sucks most of all is that this game had potential. I enjoyed some of my time with it, but it just had to be a garbage, heavily monetized, mobile-focused game. This is Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra is a free-to-play MOBA game released on PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, and mobile devices. And boy, let me tell you, it sure does play like it. For those who don't know what a MOBA is, it stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, or in other words, League. As for me, I used to be an avid Smite player, so this ain't my first rodeo. But Gekishin Squadra does have a lot of its own mechanics to set itself apart from other games of the genre. The basics here are that there are two teams of 4 competing to capture the other team's Dragon Ball. In order to reach the Dragon Ball, you have to destroy their towers, or as they call it in this game, the Gods of Destruction. This will open the path up, allowing you to reach the Dragon Ball. Along the way, you can engage with the enemy team, or gain XP and level up your abilities by farming minions. A pretty basic MOBA setup, but here's where things start to differ. For starters, this map only has 2 lanes, with not much of a jungle. Now this is fine given the fact that it's 4v4s rather than 6v6s like standard MOBAs, but the way the map functions is very strange. You can't effectively jungle or gank because parts of the map are blocked off until you defeat certain Gods of Destruction. So in the beginning of each match, you have to fly all the way around to the opposite lane rather than just being able to cut through the jungle. It's only once you take out a God of Destruction that the path does open up more. But I don't really see the point of this. All this does is cut down on team play because you can't effectively support the other lane. If your teammates are getting jumped, by the time you fly all the way around to their lane to help them, they're already going to be dead. And speaking of defeating Gods of Destruction, I loathe how it works here, and via extension, how minions work. In most MOBAs, each team has their own minions. These minions automatically attack the enemy towers. If you try to attack an enemy tower alone, then it will automatically attack you, unless you let your minions enter its range first and tank the damage. These minions are also how you farm XP. You defeat the enemy's minions to gain XP, but also to stop them from attacking your tower. It adds an element of strategy here, because you need to focus on taking out their minions, but also trying to use your own minions to attack. Here, the enemy Gods of Destruction do attack you automatically, but there are no team-based minions. These minions just spawn all over the map and attack everybody indiscriminately. So the mechanic here for attacking the Gods of Destruction is to wait for Xeno to tank the damage. And this system is just so stupid, man. Xeno will spawn and fly down one of your lanes, he'll reach the tower and tank its damage. While he's taking the damage, you can attack the tower using your abilities. But Xeno only stays here for a set amount of time. Once that timer is up, he despawns, then respawns to attack the other lane. This system just ends up feeling random, whether you'll be able to attack the Gods of Destruction or not. You have no control over when he does this. Imagine this, you win a team fight in your lane and their tower is wide open, but Xeno is already in the other lane. This means that you can't do shit. Sure, you can try and fly to the other lane and attack that tower, but again, the path is blocked, so have fun flying all the way around, so by the time you do reach it, Xeno is already f***ed off and is now on the way to your original lane. Another weird change from your typical MOBA is that there are no items to build. Usually throughout a match in a typical MOBA, you gain gold or some currency and use that to buy and upgrade items which enhance different stats. Here there are no items. You can level up your specific abilities, but there are no items. Rather, you can acquire up to 3 cards in a match and choose one helper before the match that all gives some different effect. The helpers can be spawned in and usually just give some area boost like increased defense. The cards are usually conditional buffs. What's really stupid about these mechanics though is that they need to be unlocked. From when you first start this game, you cannot access helpers or cards. You need to play some amount of matches before they become available. However, you do go up against opponents who already have these mechanics unlocked. This means that until you unlock them, you will basically just get steamrolled by other players who already have access to the cards. Even then, the card mechanic is so simple compared to other MOBAs. You can really tell this is supposed to be a very dumbed down MOBA. Like if you look at the hero ability screen, it doesn't even tell you any specific stats. It'll say something like defense up or attack up. Well, yeah, but by how much? Speaking of abilities, the way they control, and the controls in general, are horrible. First off, credit where credit is due, playing this on PC, you control WASD and attack with your mouse, whereas in games like League, you control and attack with your mouse, which I usually hate. So thanks Gekishin Squadra, you made me happy with that. But the rest of the controls though are horrible. Everything just feels so unpolished. half the time when I try to use abilities, it just doesn't even register. And then half the time when I do use abilities, it tries to auto-aim or just doesn't let me aim properly. I turned off auto-lock, and yet it still tries to auto-lock. There was one specific fight I remember vividly, where I was chasing someone and was going to hit them with an attack, and for some f***ing reason, this shit auto-aimed to the enemy behind me, letting my actual target get away unscathed. Let's rapid fire through some more unique mechanics and give some quick thoughts. Every match here, there are 2 random conditions. Some are completely worthless, like there's more clouds to hide in, where some are completely busted, like your first ability starts at max level. There are some random enemy spawns on the map that give different effects when defeated, some give team boosts, other attack towers, pretty standard mechanic for a MOBA. Cool, I guess. Some of the terrain like rocks and whatnot are destructible, very Dragon Ball coded. Some of the characters have transformations once you reach a certain level, which just increases your stats. Also very Dragon Ball coded. There are finishers that kind of look cool, I guess, but my main concern is that while you're stuck watching a cutscene, you're missing out on everything that is going on around you. There's certainly Dragon Ball flair to this game, and certainly unique mechanics, but overall this doesn't feel too good to play whatsoever, and a lot of this game's mechanics are just dumbed down versions of standard MOBA mechanics. But the big appeal here over other MOBAs is the ability to play as your favorite Dragon Ball characters. There are 22 playable characters in total, and all are divided into one of 3 classes: damage, tank, or technical. There is a role queue, which is nice, but each team composition is 2 damage, 1 tank, and 1 technical. Presumably the idea is that the damage players split up and each take 1 lane, and the tank and technical players also split up. Some players just don't know how to do that, but sure. As for the roster, it's pretty varied. You have GT characters like Oob, movie characters like Bojack, Daima characters like Mini Goku, but there are some characters I would have liked to see that are missing. Now some characters like Nappa or Android 16 are enemies on the map, with Beerus and Wisp being main parts of the map as well. But there's still no Roshi, no Yamcha, no Tenshin, no Gotenks. I understand the appeal of movie characters, but to include them over Dragon Ball Z classics like Tenshin is a really weird choice to me. I will however applaud this game for showing some restraint and only having 2 variants of Goku. Now, seeing as this is a free-to-play game, are the characters free to unlock? Technically, you can unlock every character for free, but it's going to take you a while. You only start with Goku unlocked, and can unlock more characters on the Star Path, wherever the fuck it's called. You move up on this path by upgrading characters using memory shards that you receive from matches. The stupid thing about these shards is that you have a high likelihood of earning shards for a certain character you're playing as, but it's technically random. For example, I played as Dabura and I got Goku shards, and you can only use a character's specific shards with that specific character. Why even make it random in that case? Well, it's because you can just buy characters straight up, which is Bandai's preferred way. On the Star Path, you can reach spots where you can choose a character from a set selection. The farther down the path, the more characters available. Or if you don't want to wait, you can just spend money on premium currency and unlock any character immediately. What's really frustrating is that these characters aren't the most balanced. Now, this would be expected from any multiplayer hero-based game, but the problem is when these broken heroes aren't readily available to every player. This is my problem with hero-based games not having every character unlocked for free. If your game is not perfectly balanced, then it quickly devolves into being paid to win purely based on the fact that better heroes can be unlocked sooner with real money. This is why Marvel Rivals was so praised at launch. It wasn't perfectly balanced at launch. I still have nightmares about Wolverine jumping me as a tank, but guess what? Every player had access to the most broken characters, so it was somewhat fair. Here it's not fair at all, because if you don't spend money, you have to grind shards, which my next point makes almost impossible. The online, the way it functions, the way it handles, and the player base itself are all complete garbage. For starters, when a match ends, you watch a little cutscene of the Dragon Ball being stolen. Now, at this point, any player can leave the game. Any player can rage quit, and it will disconnect everyone, and the game will act like that match never even happened. It doesn't count as a win, and no one gains any rewards. So if you're a little bitch and you rage quit because your team lost, you can make it so that no one gets anything. No rewards, no credit for the win, it's like nothing ever happened. And as far as I'm aware, there are no repercussions for doing this. Why is it that someone can just cancel the entire match even though it has already been decided? This literally happened to me and my friends 3 games in a row, and because of that, we didn't get to upgrade any of our characters because no rewards means no shards. You know, it would be so simple to implement a mechanic here where, you know, the match keeps going and that player that left just gets flagged for abandoning the match and is punished. I don't know, just some food for thought. And even if you don't have anyone rage quitting your matches, then they're still gonna play like shit because the online just is shit. Laggy matches, forced disconnects, the server literally crashing in the middle of our match. Great work, guys. And if you want to see even more great work, then let's take a look at the presentation. For starters, these graphics sure do look like a mobile game. I know the game needs to be able to run on mobile too, but you know you can optimize the graphics for different platforms like Fortnite does, right? Just because mobile needs to look like ass doesn't mean PC and console do too. I mean, just look at these models. Look how stiff these animations are. I played this on PC, and I cannot imagine what this looks like being blown up on a giant TV. And as for the rest of the presentation, such as the menus and the UI, I hate throwing around this word, but it's slop. I mean, just look at it. It's the most generic mobile game layout possible. It's not helped by the mobile shop pages and gacha screens. In the end, Gekishin Squadra just isn't worth your time. Feel free to try it, it is free to play, but I don't imagine anyone getting hooked on this game. I know Bandai wants people to. They want people spending money on characters, skins, roles, but none of this is worth it when the rest of the game is so lackluster. It plays horribly, it looks awful, the online is held together by a string, and it's just a real frustrating experience. If a Dragon Ball MOBA really needed to happen, then the series should have just done a crossover with a pre-established MOBA game. Just do crossover skins, that's like all the rage now, man. Now I have seen some people try and defend this game, try to argue that the only gacha roles in monetization are for cosmetics, that there's more love put into this game than Sparking Zero. 1. The gacha roles are in fact only for cosmetics, but unlocking heroes, especially with how this online works, takes a while, and it clearly just wants you dropping a few bands on premium currency instead. And 2. Just no. Sparking Zero is a fully fledged console game with more than 100 characters. Say what you want about that game, but to argue that a free-to-play MOBA had more love and care put into it is just a straight up lie. Mark my words, this game will get like 2 more characters and some more skins to milk out what little cash they can from the minuscule player base that remains after launch week before ultimately throwing this game to the wayside. If you want to try it for yourself, then go ahead, but just know, I warned you.